Some of the worst deals I've been in were the result of bad partnerships. And, I'm always asking about how did you do it? How did you do it? Because one partnership I was in, 5 of us, 2 of them were myself and my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And we hired a business consultant to help us develop our business plan, to help us develop the what everyone's roles and responsibilities were. And we went out and we started buying property. I think we bought about 2 or 3 complexes. And then the market tanked.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you something, Brian, they ran like rats, as we say up here in Boston. They scurried. When the lights went on, they were gone. When things got tough, they were gone. So much for all of the 6 months of planning, this great partnership. When things got tough and they tested the metal, these guys folded like a cheap suit. And that was just one. I can tell you about another one of my bad partnerships too. But I always think about, have you been tested? What's going to happen if the economy changes? How you guys, the property is not performing the way it's supposed to perform? That was what happened to one of my worst partnerships.
Yeah. We had a test, I think pretty early in the game that was substantial. Property number 1 actually was, if you're paying attention to the financial markets, about a year and a half ago was about the time we were supposed to close on property number 1. Okay. We had, Fannie Mae, loan application in. We had a broker working on getting us the loan, and we're checking in with her every couple of days. How are things going? What are rates looking like today? And Fannie and Freddie both came up to their federally mandated caps, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so what did Fannie and Freddie do? They increased their spread. I mean, typically their spread is based off of LIBOR rates. And, so we were given a soft quote on rates at like a 3.8 one day. And a couple of days later, I got a phone call, first from my attorney and then from they both live in Dallas. They were both at the same event and they were both talking. My attorney's just like, get ready for a gut punch. The broker's going to call you and like, you lost a lot of proceeds on this. And I knew what was happening. And so she called me and she's like, if you were to close today, your rate would be a 5.2.
Wow.
3.8 to 5.2.
Wow. That's a deal killer. And was your money hard?
Our money was hard. We had about $100,000 into the deal, between application fees, earnest money, everything else. We had about $100,000 into the deal. And that was, I think, test number 1 is how were we going to get through that? We had over $1 million committed. I don't think at this point we had started taking, the wire transfers yet. But our capital raise was right in line where it needed to be. And we got this news 2 weeks before the end of our extension. We'd already burned an extension because the loan was just taking a long time. And
this is the type of stuff I wanted to get into in this conversation, because this is real.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play the game. Oh yeah, well, what about this? Because I already got you beat. But go on.
Oh yeah. I mean, so that was a gut punch, and honestly, it took me like 4 hours before I could muster up the courage to tell my partners. It was just like, I was sitting in my backyard. I was off of work that day for some reason, but I was just kind of sitting in my backyard and, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? But, over the next couple of weeks, several Zoom calls, lots of emails exchanged, we figured out how to get through it without having to cancel the deal, and there's lots of things that go through your head. Number 1 is we've got $100,000 already into this deal. Okay. Can we afford to lose it? Yes, we can afford to lose it. Okay. Do we want to lose it? Absolutely not. I didn't want to lose $25,000, so that's one consideration, but the other thing is you have a lot of investors who have already, pledged money to you, and, you want to do what's right for them. But at the same time, if the deal doesn't work, you can't, so you have all these different, and sometimes competing interests. And oh, by the way, everybody talks about how that first deal is your key. We realized the momentum that we would get by closing on that deal was something that we wanted as well. So we had a lot of reasons to do it, and we had a couple of reasons not to do it, so we sat down and we tried to make sure that we were doing the right thing. And, after, two of us had different mentors through different mentorship groups. We had a lot of people that were informal mentors, and we had like 8 people on a call at the same time. And a lot of people who were helping us, who were just like throwing out ideas. Well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about, and end of the day, we were advertising a certain percentage return to our investors. And at the end of the day, we felt that if we couldn't still make that return, hit that number, then, or at least a number really close to it, that we needed to back out. And what we ended up doing is, sacrificing the acquisition fee.
Yeah.
We didn't take an acquisition fee, and we ended up moving the needle on the GPLP split. So that one ended up being a 90-10 split.
Wow.
So basically, what we decided to do, and because of the momentum, not getting paid a lot in this deal actually made the most sense. So we took a pay cut on the deal, funneled a larger percentage of the income off the property to the investors, so we could still hit that percentage.
In the business, just to get in the business, get that first deal done. You're finding out now, the first deal is the hardest deal.
Yeah.
As I tell my clients, I said the first 2 deals are the toughest. After that, you and I are just friends.
Yep.
And that's how we operate.